Hi, I'm Abby, and this is Abby Matt Reads, and welcome to my October book haul. I have 15 books to show you, but first, bow down, bitches. I am the queen of booktube today. The first book I'm going to show you is The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey. And I loved M.R. Carey's Fell Side when I read it earlier this year. It was absolutely brilliant. So I really wanted to pick up something from the same author to see if it's just as good. And this is meant to be a thriller about a girl called Melanie who is still in school. So I assume she's still quite young. But she's in a wheelchair and has kind of this gift that makes people scared of her. I don't know much more about that, only that it's kind of, with Fellside it was kind of like a thriller and a kind of supernatural thing, so I'm hoping that this will be exactly not exactly like that, but along the same lines and just as good. So I will let you know how I get on with this. The next book I'm going to show you is Illuminate by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Now, everybody in BookTube has read this apart from me, so I had to pick up a copy. And Illuminate looks so good. It is set in the far future where two corporations are battling over ownership of this kind of icy kind of planet. I don't know why, but they are refugees escaping and evacuating the planet because they actually live on this planet that they are trying to buy. And unfortunately for them, a plague breaks out on this ship that they use to get out. And I know that a lot of people love this, but have also said that it's hard to get into at the beginning. So I am prepared for that. But I absolutely love the way it's told in such like multimedia ways, like files and signs like that. It's just really original, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. Now we have The Shadow of Night by Deborah Harkness. I think you all knew that A Discovery of Witches was not my favourite book. But this is the sequel in the trilogy, and it follows on from A Discovery of Witches, which is where a witch discovers a manuscript that holds great power, and all these other creatures, demons, vampires, and witches want this manuscript, and she falls in love with Matthew the vampire, and it's all this forbidden love and all that. I mean, the book Discovery of Witches did get better towards the end, so I'm hoping that maybe it'll pick up on the same tone that it left off in Discovery of Witches. I know they have to have gone into the past in this one. I'm not going to say too much in case you haven't read A Discovery of Witches. And if you haven't, I don't blame you, but I am a completionist and I needed to pick this book. Now we have A Map of Days by Ransom Riggs. I love the Miss Peregrine books. I love these weird photos that accompany the text and the story. They really bring it to life. I didn't even know they had a fourth one out until just a few weeks ago, and then I had to buy it. The first three are kind of about Jason, who through a weird incident discovers this school in Wales full of peculiar children who have kind of special magic abilities. In this, all of Jason and his peculiar friends are trying to stay low in Florida when something happens that makes Jason realize more about his grandfather and his past, his peculiar past possibly. And it sounds very intriguing, and I'm looking forward to reading this. Next is Watch the Lady by Elizabeth Fremantle, which I actually picked up in a charity shop in London for £1, which isn't bad. I do like Elizabeth Fremantle. I've read her book, The Queen's Gambit, about Catherine Parr, who was my favourite of King Henry VIII's wives. And I also have a book of hers called The Poison Bed, which I haven't read yet, but I knew she's an author I love, so I picked this up. It's featuring Penelope, who's kind of very a manipulative woman and wants to establish her family's dynasty by all means necessary, even if that means pissing off Queen Elizabeth, who is a scary enemy to have. The next book, which I also picked up in the same charity shop, and actually even looks like it has not even been read at all, it looks like it's in perfect condition, and it was just £1. It's brilliant. It's called Jons Saturnal's Feast by Lawrence Norfolk, and this is set in 1625, where there is this kind of mob outrage of witchcraft going on, and I think the main character, John, has to escape with his mother to take refuge in the woods, where his mother starts telling him stories of a kind of very secret, very ancient feast that was held annually and has been passed on down through the generations. And what John does not know is that later in his life, he will soon be called to serve this feast. The next book is You by Carolyn Kepnes. This is another book that is so hyped up on BookTube. This book is about stalking, but told from the stalker's perspective. Joe becomes absolutely enamoured and obsessed with Guinevere after meeting her just this once. And I think it's really original to have a story told from the point of view of the kind of, no, I don't want to say abuser. I mean, it's not very nice to stalk people, obviously, but the criminal. And everybody is hyping this up all over BookTube. I know there is a sequel, Hidden Bodies, that apparently is not that great, but this looks really good. Stephen King has called it hypnotic and scary, which is just right up my street. The next book I'm going to show you is The Diviners by Libba Bray. This is a reread for me, but I've read it so long ago I cannot remember it, and when I moved house it kind of got lost, so I've bought another copy. It's about a girl called Evie who is forced to go and live in New York City, which she is absolutely ecstatic about, but she also has to live with her Uncle Will, who is obsessed with the occult. Evie has secret magical powers that she does not want anyone to find out, but then a kind of brutal, kind of very strange murder happens, and Evie realizes that she could help and does so. I also have Layer of Dreams that I must have bought at the same time as The Diviners once, so I'll be reading the sequel straight after, but I have not bought the third one, and I will be doing that in the future. My favourite book of this book haul is Toon Land by C.J.Sansom. I have said in previous videos that I'm so excited about this coming out, and it came out last week, and it was absolutely perfect to travel to London to and read on the train, and I'm still addicted to it. It's a historical fiction series starring Matthew Shardlake, who is a lawyer who is constantly being drawn into royal politics and having to investigate certain things. There are 7 books. This is the last one because apparently, sadly, the author is dying, so there will not be one after this. But I have read all 6 of these before, and they are absolutely amazing. They are my favourite series of book ever, and I'm so happy that I finally have my copy because I look forward to it for months. The last book I'm going to quickly show you from the charity shop is Jo Brand's autobiography, Can't Stand Up for Sitting Down, and I'm not going to say much about this. If you Americans don't know, she's a very, very funny British comedian, and I love her so much. I've loved her since an early age. She's been going a long time, and she always makes me laugh. And what I love about this is that, I don't know if you can see that, but it's signed. It's a signed Jo Brand book, and I got it for £1. I think that's amazing. Next, a book I picked up from a clearance sale in W.H. Smith for just £3 is The Devil in the Marshalsea. I think I pronounced that right. It's set in London in 1727 about this wayward character named John who has found himself in a debtor's prison. A brutal murder takes place, and unfortunately for John, he finds he has to share a cell with the prime suspect. Fearing for his life, he feels like he has to investigate. And I am really excited to read this. Another book I picked up from W.H. Smith but had to pay full price for, what's that all about, is the Axmans Jazz by Ray Celestin. It's set in New Orleans in 1919, where a serial killer, the Axeman, is on the loose, and 3 people are dedicated to trying to find it. They face obstacles like the mafia and find themselves in a lot of danger, but there is a lot about New Orleans in this time period surrounding this mystery. So I'm really happy about that. I'm very much looking forward to reading it. And it also won Best Crime Novel of the Year in the Guardian, Scotsman, the Times and the Independent. So that's pretty good. I'm surprised I haven't heard of it earlier, but when I saw it, I had to buy it. The next 3 books I actually borrowed from my oldest friend Rhiannon, because she wanted me to review some books on my channel that she likes, which I'm thrilled about because I get to borrow books. And this is one that I've been wanting to read for a long time. Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng, I think it is. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. I know from other people and other reviews that it involves a house burning down and people having to find somewhere else to live. But the only thing I could find about the book, apart from that, is that Elena lives happily in this kind of suburban town where everything is very idyllic, or so it seems, until Mia and her teenage daughter Pearl come into town and rent a house from Elena's family. And Mia has a kind of troubled past, which proves to be difficult for Elena because she could ruin this kind of ideal setting she has. Again, another book from Rhiannon. One that I'm just going to talk very quickly about is Salt to the Sea. It is set in wartime Germany with refugees trying to get on boats to leave to get away from the Red Army. I've heard a lot of hype about this on BookTube. I think I'm going to like it from what I've heard. I know that Alex does not like this book. Well, I don't think she did anyway because she did a rant review on it, but I didn't want to watch it until I had read it. But it run the Carnegie? I don't know what book. And it does seem quite interesting. So I will try this and then watch the reviews after to see if I agree. The last book I'm going to show you, which is another borrow from Rhiannon, is The Cursed Wife by Pamela Hartshorn. This is about a seemingly happy woman named Mary who's married to a wealthy merchant in Elizabethan London. But when she was a child, she caused the death of another child and then was cursed and told that one day she would hang. And now she's desperately trying to find a way to free herself of this curse because her past is about to catch up with her. So there we go. I hoped you liked my haul, and I hope you love my crown. This is also from the same charity shop as some of the books, and I love it to bits because it suits me very well. I'm very regal. Okay, if you are new, will you please subscribe because it would make me very happy. And if you've enjoyed this video, put a thumbs up down below. My Twitter is @AbbieMattReads. And I have a Facebook page, facebook.com/AbbieMattReads. Quite easy to remember. And thank you for watching. See you later. Bye.